So, hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 6455463728, and China may or may not have figured out a way to get more babies. Um, it seems to be a more complicated issue than I or the Chinese government, I'm sure, would have liked, with respect to simply taking shots at or trying to reduce the amount of time that children spend being tutored, or to reduce the disparities that wealthier parents would have in being able to get the best tutoring for their kids, to take the university um, entrance exams to get into the best universities or universities at all uh, in Asia, like in Korea, in China, in Japan. A lot of your time is going to be spent not in the Western way of socializing with your peers, um, spending time with other people your age in a non-regimented setting, but basically doing homework, studying, going to school, then there's after school studying. In many of these cultures, kids don't have a free moment, period, whether it is vacation time, whether it is after school, whether it is weekends. Any free time is going to, and as long as your parents have the means to do it, it's going to be spent preparing for that lottery that can allow you to increase the standard of living of your family. That one moment where, hey, anybody can get from the lowest tier of society to high rank in university if they can get a good enough score on these university entrance exams. Unfortunately, um, that means that young people are not going to have enough free time to socialize. And if you're not going to have enough time to socialize, you're not going to probably have relationships, girlfriends, boyfriends. You're probably not going to have much experience sexually, and you're probably not going to have very many kids. And I think that that has really, really choked um, places like Korea, that has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. Places like Japan, where a lot of men have electronic girlfriends. I don't know how prominent it is. Of course, when you look at these things in the media, you see the worst case scenarios. They are going for the craziest things that they can bring to you. But at the same time, when you look at the fact, the lack of socialization that people in some of these more prominent um, Eastern countries have, it's not surprising to see how low these birth rates are, because that's if during your formative years you have little to no experience in the process of baby making, you're going to catch up later on when you're cemented into these habits. It seems completely unlikely. And a lot of people are just going to choose to use that inertia and not get into relationships and to not have uh, families. Beyond that, for some people who do have a lot of free time, um, that free time is likely to be spent on video games. In places like Japan, in places like Korea, uh, well, we can't say everybody has a phone. I'm sure there's a lot of Indian people, Chinese people, and people in less affluent Eastern societies where everybody does not have access to a powerful enough smartphone to play video games, or they don't have access to, some of these video game locations where, a lot of young boys, I presume, are just stacked like sardines. I don't know how that is working out now. They're probably a little bit more distanced or closed in certain places. But yeah, there, if you are spending so much of your time, for example, comedian Bobby Lee spends so much of his time playing video games. Every once in a while, at least in the, you know, maybe a year to 6 months ago, he was talking about having a kid. How are you gonna have a kid if you're not having the sex to have the kid, buddy? If you're waking up late every day, and he feels like you can put the cart before the horse, right? You can get Kalila, your girlfriend, pregnant, and then I guess then you will change. I think a lot of people have had that illusion and dream that they would change to suit their circumstances rather than it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You're not going to impregnate your girlfriend, and maybe that's for the best because you're probably just going to be upset that the kid is crying, you know, and that might not help your relationship. So, but yeah, even what's his name? Joe Rogan was complaining. He was saying that he had to stop playing video games because it was just sucking up his life and he was getting aggressive and he just had to stop. So if China is cracking down on video games, um, and is cracking down on, uh, I guess, the channeling of young people into this single lifestyle because of the amount of tutoring that they have to endure. And this allows people to do extracurricular activities where they're going to meet uh, other uh, young people and start having babies. Then, yeah. Um, I was reading one article by the Financial Times and they were saying that this or these, I don't know that they're bans, but it might eventually get to that point that they're not attacking the main problem, which is the fact of the university entrance exam. And if you still have the entrance exam, but you're just cracking down on the tutoring and video games and so on, you are just going to force people underground. They're still going to go and get tutoring for their kids anyway. Um, so maybe, there's something to that. Even if you increase the number of places in university, of course, how I don't know. I don't think that it makes sense to say, well, hey, you're already smart, so let's put more energy into you. I don't know that that makes sense, but I don't know that people would agree to something else necessarily. Definitely not everything I suppose you have to ease in bit by bit. If you try to move too fast, too far too fast, you're gonna get a big backlash. So yeah, but China is China at the end of the day, and they can, as Facebook said, move fast and break things. Um, of course, that's not what the the government would want, because as the article stated, back when Xi was vice president, he was saying that the Arab Spring and all of these things that happened um, in the Arab Spring was a result of governments losing touch with their people. And I don't know if she has kids or what, but yeah, if you have young people spending too much time on video games, it's something that the Chinese call curl inwards. They have a word for it. Um, becoming introspective, I suppose. But yeah, you don't want that to happen. And you do need to pay attention to what's happening in your society. And for your society not to crumble, you do have to recognize that it's not just about all these tutoring jobs that might be lost to recent graduates of university, or you don't have to look at the money that's involved in the video game industry and just use that to direct you. Because, it's kind of like, oh, look at the cigarette industry, or look at the opioids. There's so many people involved in that. Yeah, but if it's destroying your society, it doesn't matter how many jobs it's providing. If it's going to destroy your society in 5 years as opposed to not, it's like cancer. You go in, you rip it out. You don't just leave it there saying, hey, well, it's my body's cells. I don't want to hurt them. That's ridiculous. But it is China. So if they can achieve more socialization of the youth, more increase the amount of free time that kids have to learn about other the opposite sex. Yeah, they can learn about, if they happen to be gay, but that's not going to give you any more kids. Um, so yeah, China may have found a way to increase its population, because if the US is bound by the freedom that we all love and enjoy, or at least think that we do, um, children in many homes don't have that freedom that we all enjoy, uh, and we don't have a problem with that. We don't have a problem with kids. Not as long as you're living under my house, I get to be a tyrant. But once you have reached 18, you can do anything that you want to do, and I can't stop you, even if it will lead to the destruction of our society. Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, I hope that I'm around in the next couple of years, and I hope that I remember this particular story so that I can keep tabs on China's progress and see if it worked out. Um, anyway, thanks for listening. Have a good one.